Tricia with Tech Knowledge. I'm here with the lovely Gina DiMarco, and we're here to have a conversation around Women's Appreciation Month, which is March. Welcome, Gina.
Hi.
Hi. So Gina and I, full disclosure, have known each other for a long time, so this should be a fun conversation. So Gina, just to open it up, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Gina. Yes, Trish and I have known each other for quite some time. I do development work. So, I'm the director of development for TKW. I absolutely love doing development work. A lot of folks kind of look at you wonky when you're like, you like fundraising? And I'm like, yes, it's so much fun because it's all about connecting individuals to an amazing mission, which of course TKW has. I'm out here in South Jersey right now, but I'm about to make the jump over to Pennsylvania, which I know makes my family really happy. They've been missing me out there,
You're
but
coming
that'll
back to the
happen.
good side, Gina.
Yeah, I'm leaving the dark side apparently. And I have four wonderful boys with one more on the way also this summer. And I'm married to an amazing man who is he back there? He is back there. He plays all of those
Hi,
amazing
Chris.
guitars too. That's Chris. So yeah, that's the long and short of me.
So you are involved with technology for development, which you are wonderful at, by the way. Um,
Appreciate that.
so how did you get into philanthropy? Like, what did you go to school for, and how did you end up here?
I honestly fell into it. So I went to school for English literature and public relations, believe it or not. So I got my first job out of college was teaching. And that ended up serving me really well because it turns out fundraising is really education. It's educating people on various options available to them to participate in, to donate their philanthropy towards, right? And I genuinely believe that people are good at heart and they all want to do something to make the world a better place. And so my job is to connect them to those avenues in which they can make the world a better place. So I started doing real development work about 12 years ago for a nonprofit in Philadelphia. And then I started doing nonprofit work down here in South Jersey. I worked for three different organizations down here in South Jersey. And now I do consulting work for about six places. So TK being one of them, TKW being one of them. So yeah, good fun, good fun.
Well, that's exciting. So when you graduated
Mhm.
with your degree and you started out, what was the first nonprofit? What propelled you into it? What was that first jump?
So I was doing work for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and I was a secretary at the time. And I was legitimately the secretary for one. Basically, he ended up becoming the CEO of a nonprofit organization, and I would change his paper from his printer because he did not understand how his printer worked. I would explain to him how like Excel spreadsheets work. So I was really, really baseline, like bottom of the totem pole.
Got to
But
start
I learned,
somewhere.
yes. And I learned so much from the people that I was around that when I ended up moving to my next position, which was still in the development world in South Jersey, I ended up taking a much more active role in fundraising development work. So, understanding how to make those connections, network, understanding how donation letters and how events would even come together to help you reach fundraising goals that you set and even how to reach fundraising goals. So yeah, it was a thoroughly entertaining process, but it all started in Philadelphia.
Nice. So tell me a little bit more about that because I'm genuinely curious. Like, how do you learn to make those connections with people in that outreach? And does that come natural for you, that kind of outreach?
So honestly, I do think it is part of my personality. I am a very extroverted person and I genuinely love getting to know other people. And one of the things that other folks really enjoy doing is sharing passions that are important to them, right? And a lot of the time, those passions that they feel very connected to have some sort of philanthropic goal. So, one of the places that I used to do development work for was Homeward Bound Pet Adoption Center in South Jersey. You're aware of that.
Yeah, I love it.
I spent, was it 2.5 or 3 years there, building up their development program when they switched over from Camden County Animal Shelter and became Homeward Bound. And it was so much fun for me to go out and talk to folks because they all obviously love their pets, right? And they all love animal welfare. They want to know how they're able to help, the strays that come in, and just connecting them and letting them know, hey, well, these are the programs that we have at Homeward Bound that really push forward the idea of animal welfare, or really will help out those animals that just have no other place to go. Folks are moved by that, and they're like, you know what, I've got an extra $5 or $10 and I can put that towards, X. And it makes such a difference. And that's the thing I think I want to help other people understand most of all. So many times people think, well, what am I going to do? Like, I'm just one person, right? But when you have one person here, one person here, one person here, one person here, all banded together under one mission, amazing things happen. And my job is to teach them how those amazing things happen.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned events. So, I'm curious, what are some of the big events that you've been able to pull off in the fundraising space?
Specifically the fundraising space. So we've done, so it's really tough. So fundraising is so much more than just raising dollars, right? Again, I really try to liken it to building connections between individuals, building connections in between organizations, because it's not all about raising money, right? A lot of times it's about raising awareness for mission. A lot of times it's really about connecting individuals who might need the things that an organization provides, but they aren't aware that that organization even exists. So raising awareness is a big key. And then keeping donors, people who are invested in the organization's success, keeping them engaged, aware of what's going on, and feeling as though what they're doing matters is also really important. So that's part of fundraising too. So we'll have large events that thank our donors. It's not necessarily about raising money. In fact, we lose money on those events, because what we're doing is we're gathering everybody together to just do a thank you barbecue, for example, for maybe volunteers. And we pay for all of that, and we're not expecting anybody to give us money towards it. So we'll lose money. That's not a fundraiser, but it's incredibly important to development because, again, you're developing relationships amongst those individuals. Now, in regards to fundraising, one of my favorite fundraising events that we used to do, it was in South Jersey. We called it, we had a Christmas concert. So the Christmas concert would welcome, we had the Irish tenor, or I'm sorry, the New York tenors. We had the New York tenors come one year, and these gentlemen were incredible singers. So we obviously had to pay them up front. And then we would open up and sell tickets. And we typically would get about 2,000 people who would come to that event. And that was obviously a fundraiser for us because they had to buy tickets. And that was always so much fun every year. We would have a giant theater that we would just welcome everybody to. Everybody got all gussied up. We had Debbie Boone come out one year, which was really cool. And yeah, it's just those kinds of events I love. They're just so much fun. And we had a bunch of high school kids come out and, sing Christmas carols. And it's just, it leaves donors with a really nice fuzzy feeling. I always want to leave folks with a nice fuzzy feeling.
That's great. So,
Yeah.
what drives that, especially now, mom of four, soon to be five? What drives that force for good still in you to this day?
It's just so nice to know that A, it's really great that so many good, amazing nonprofit missions are out there, right? It's nice to know that I am part of a community that genuinely wants to make the world a better place. And I want to participate in that. And I have very specific skills that can push those things along, right? And I'm the type that I always have to be doing something. So why not be doing something that benefits the greater community? And in doing that, development really lends itself to helping the greater community.
So, follow-up question to that. How do you decide where you give your time to? Everyone's time is precious and your time is precious. And there's so many great organizations, to your point out there. How do
Mm-hmm.
you decide which ones that you really champion?
So that's the beauty of consulting, right? I'm allowed to choose which ones I go after. And the mission has to speak to me. It's got to speak to me in some capacity. So just you're aware of my history, but not everybody watching along is. My background has included things like social services, the homeless, animal welfare, and we're talking 12 years of this,
Mhm.
right? And when I say social services, that encompasses everything from the foster care system to adoptions to clothing, people who have legitimately no clothing on the streets of Camden, to providing educational opportunities for those in need of them. So that encompasses a huge umbrella, right? And these are all things that the communities need, right? And they're relatively easy to provide if we have an organized means of doing so, right? And so, one of the first things that I look at when I'm looking around for various opportunities is what the mission is and what their organizational structure looks like to ensure that those, services are able to be given to the community in a both timely and organized manner. Because again, the things that we are basically imparting to the community, they're donated items, whether it's donated through money, donated through in kind things. We don't want to waste them. We want to be really mindful of how we're utilizing these things to best provide that service to the community. So I always look at those things, and I look at the boards because I want to know how involved is the board? Do they really believe in the mission? Do they really care? And things of that nature. So I'm really careful about where I place my time because, as you said, it's important. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the best thing I can for the community with the time I've been given.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So it sounds like you have a lot of experience coming out of Philadelphia, coming out of Camden. So these have been really local causes that are close to you. So how did you get involved with Tech Knowledge Worldwide, who our mission is to be worldwide? And obviously, right now we've been based, our charity products have been based on the East Coast, but our goal is to move westward. We have some international friends as well. So, what brings you to Tech Knowledge Worldwide, and how did you get involved?
TKW is growing, and I love seeing that. Good missions always do. I would like to point that out. So I got started with TKW through Ray Klein, the president. So he has been talking up starting a nonprofit for a long time. And even before he started TKW, he was doing nonprofit work as Santa Ray in Northeast Philadelphia, raising money for educational programs in North Philly. And as his little sister, because yes, that is in fact what I am, everyone, I would obviously want to help him with that. And I would, I'd be on the sidelines cheering him on, or if he had questions about things, I'd try to answer them to the best of my ability. But really, he ran that show. And he did such an incredible job with it. And when he started TKW, obviously I said, I'm willing to help in any way, shape, or form I can. He's like, well, fundraising would be a good start. And so here I am.
But as you pointed out, this is much more than fundraising. And as
Mm-hmm.
TKW's Director of
You
Development,
saw that, right?
I saw that, right? Um, what do you think your unique style is to help TKW as a not for profit? What does your unique style bring to the table?
So that's an interesting question. I guess my unique style, that's tough because I like to stay in the background a lot. So things like database, like no one likes to think of database entry. I unfortunately have to think about database entry frequently and putting together, newsletters, finding content for newsletters. Really, I think for TKW, my skill set is best used in crafting the message that speaks the mission in a way that others not only understand, but relate to, and through that relation want to join and support. So I think that's where I see myself fitting in with TKW most of all. Maybe not in the networking so much because I'm so not savvy when it comes to tech. So a lot of the folks who, they talk about things like MSPs and ISPs, and I don't even know what P's, and I'm lost. I'm so lost. But I understand what TKW is doing in terms of mission and value and vision, right? And I can speak to that. I can see how different TKW members come together from all over the country, all over the world in some cases. And they come together for various opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm able to see that. Even if I don't understand what those opportunities necessarily mean, I can see them coming together and making those communities a better place. And then, of course, when you come together for things like Thanksgiving, it speaks for itself. So, really, where I see myself is communicating those incredibly amazing aspects of TKW to the general population so that they see that, go, wow, that's amazing. I want to take part in it too. So, that's where I fit in.
I will say the one thing that you are good at is keeping us consistent, because every time we have a good idea and you guys, wait a second, that messaging is, we have to keep it the same and we have to make sure we're consistent, and you're
Yes,
definitely good about that. Because there are
consistency is
plenty of
key.
times I said, oh yeah, that sounds great, and Gina's like, wait a second, no, let's dial that back for a second, guys. So one of the things you're doing for us, Gina, is our newsletter.
Yes.
So I've never put together a newsletter. I have no idea what it takes to do that. So tell me a little bit about what it takes you to develop our weekly newsletters, what content you're putting in there, and what you hope you gain from the newsletter.
Gotcha. It's magic. No, I'm just kidding.
Magic to me.
Yes, no. So really, it depends. It really depends on what I'm trying to go for in a given week, right? So that's why you'll see that the newsletter sort of shifts around in tone a little bit from week to week. So obviously, when we first launched, I was trying a few different things just to kind of see what folks would be most interested in reading. And it turns out that a lot of folks were most interested in the collaborations. Folks really like stories of, members getting together to do something fantastic. So that's why we shifted away from, maybe 6 bullet points in one email to now we have one, two, possibly three things in the newsletter each week. One of the cool things that I love about our newsletter is we can see not only who's opened the newsletter, but what they've clicked on when they get into the newsletter. And so if we have specific links where, for example, Tech Fest registration is live, everyone, feel free to utilize that link when you see it this weekend. I can see when that gets clicked on. And what's fantastic about that is if I'm seeing certain topics, certain vendors, certain social media bullets getting clicked on more than another, I know where I need to be focusing my communications going forward. So for for example, and I know Ray doesn't believe this, he always thinks I'm nuts, but one of the largest things that gets clicked on in our newsletters is actually the Facebook social media button. And everybody likes to think that Facebook is dead, but it is not in fact dead. So that's just an interesting tidbit. So I really like to focus on things that I think folks care about, and obviously things that are going to be important to keeping folks abreast of what exactly it is that TKW is doing, like TechFest.
So actually, we didn't mention this at the beginning of the podcast, and many people may know this already from our website, but TKW is actually a not-for-profit 501c3, and Gina helps us keep track of all of the things that helps us continue to be an NFP. So Gina, talk about just some of the things that we're responsible for as a non-for-profit, like tracking our dollars and getting things out to our donors. What does that
Mm-hmm.
mean when we're dealing with a not profit and not just a for profit or private group?
No, that's really important. And honestly, I'm a little bit biased because yes, I'm in development work, but really the most important thing that we do as a nonprofit is steward donation dollars. And what I mean by stewarding donation dollars is any donation that comes our way, we need to account for. And when I say we need to account for it, I'm not just talking about on a spreadsheet, even though we do absolutely have to do that. We need to account for where those dollars go. So it's not just incoming, it's also outgoing. And we're not just keeping track of that for ourselves. We're keeping track of that for the government. We have to fill out special IRS forms every year. And then we also do that for our donors as well, because our donors, as a nonprofit, donors get the benefit of a tax write-off every time they make a donation to us. So I am responsible for making sure that those tax acknowledgments go out in a timely manner. And so they're able to take advantage of the tax write off and tax benefits that come as a result of supporting us. So please support us.
Yes, please support us.
Yes.
And just in case there's anybody else in the NFP space, not for profit space, talk a little bit about Perfect and how we're able to leverage that for the community and for our fundraising.
So I've been using Donor Perfect for 6 or 7 years now, I guess. I've used other platforms like Razor's Edge, Bloomerang, I've used, and GiftWorks, but Donor Perfect really seems to be the best of all worlds. It's a database software system, and it also gives us access to constant contact, which is how we send out our newsletters. But the greatest thing about Donor Perfect is it puts all of our data in one place and makes it so that it's really easy for me to not just pull it, but utilize it in a way that's meaningful. So, yeah, it's great to see that we've had 60 donations in X given time, but I want to know what those donations actually are and what they translate to in terms of growth for TKW, you know? And Donor Perfect allows me to kind of look at those numbers and change those numbers around so that they're actually useful information for me. So that going forward, if I were to do marketing and spend marketing money around that, I would know which places to put that money so that again, I'm being a good steward of the donations coming in so that we can turn that into something meaningful for growth and opportunity in TKW long term.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. And one of the things that you were really able to help us with using Donor Perfect, two things, helping with text giving for 2023, and then our push over Giving Tuesday, which was really successful because of your campaign. So thank you for that.
Oh, no, happy to do it. But the most successful, and I'm going to point this out because I want everybody to hear this. I know I've said it a few times, maybe amongst leadership, but I'm saying it publicly now. The thing that made both text giving and Giving Tuesday so successful was the community itself taking part and leveraging your relationships with one another to encourage that donation to keep spiraling and snowballing and getting larger and larger. So that, and you started the Giving Tuesday one, I believe. I think that was on you.
Yes,
And
yeah, I
I
did.
want to say, was it Abe who started text giving? It might have been Abe who started. I forget, honestly, it's going back a ways, but that was started within the community. And that's you guys recognizing the value that TKW provides and then leveraging the relationships that you've built to snowball that into something so much bigger. And I'm so proud of you guys and so happy that you support TKW in that way. Again, it's one thing to support TKW, through Slack and, coming to events, which is always great, but putting your money where your mouth is, putting your money where your heart is, it's incalculable how incredibly humbling and inspiring that is to see this group take off the way it has. So good job, everybody.
Thanks. So I guess this is a good time to plug Tech Fest, which is coming up in May in
It
Nashville,
is.
May 2nd and 3rd, and we are so excited about it. So we're going to have some great vendors out there, and there's a couple of reasons for us going forward with Tech Fest in Nashville this year. One of the biggest things is this is an opportunity for networking with all of our members and our vendor partners, which is really great. But the other thing is we're using this as a way to fundraise for our next text giving. So we're really excited about that. Text giving is our annual project, which we do typically in the fall of each year. Last year was Mission Fit, which was really exciting in Baltimore, and the year before Baraka Church in Cheltenham, PA. So both were really great projects to work on. And so Text Fest is our opportunity to fundraise towards that as we go into the summer and we start our planning for it. So I know you're involved with that as well, of course, because you're involved in everything, all things tech, right?
Well, everything except for, I guess, the tech part. But yes, I try
Yeah.
to be.
Literally everything but the tech part, Gina.
Yes, I try, guys. I swear I try. But that's what I have Ray for, frankly. I've been spoiled, so I don't have to know any of the tech stuff.
So, all right, now this is a loaded question, but who's your favorite TKW member?
Am I allowed to? Ugh. Okay, so I am highly amused by Ryan. Ryan Garrity, I believe his
Ryan
name is.
Garrity. He's
Like,
great. Yeah.
highly amused by Ryan. I know I'm like such a lurker because I don't like I feel like I can't like properly participate in a lot of the stuff, but I know that Ryan makes me chuckle frequently. I think it's Dave Johnson.
Dave
Johnson.
Johnston. Yep.
Yes, he's also another one that I tend to catch myself laughing at his stuff frequently.
Oh, and
And
shout out to Dave. He's getting married soon.
oh yeah, that's right. Yay. Happy almost wedding. Was it May? I think it was that's also in
It's
May
coming
or
up. March maybe?
March. Okay, I'm lying. Clearly I'm getting my months straight.
I know it's happening.
And then obviously I love you. I love you and your beautifully curly, bouncy, flouncy hair.
Thanks.
And yeah, so no, honestly, there's quite a few of them. Yes, Ray, he's gonna end up seeing this. I love you
I
too.
think Ray's on the
Only
bottom of
because
your list. Can we be honest? I think he's on the bottom of everybody's list.
no, we all love Ray. But yeah, no, and then recently I just Theron, my God, that he knows so much more than I thought he did. Like because again, I only get to know folks through Slack, right?
Not that we're questioning you, Theron, if you're listening.
I love him. I swear, it's like every time I think, oh, Theron does this, this, and this, and then like three, I find out he does three other things, and I'm like, does he do all the things? I think he does all the things.
Theron does all
So
the things except
he
gluten. He
really
can't do gluten.
does. Oh, so good to know. Good to know. But yeah, it's just I'm constantly in awe of how much the TKW members seem to juggle at one time. So it's really hard for me to pick just one. I think I'm legally obligated through familial connections to say either you or Ray. But no, honestly, I love the whole lot of them. They're great. They're a really great
Actually,
group of
you know what?
people.
That's one of the things I love about TKW in general is like I feel like I made a lot of genuine connections
Hmm.
and a lot of friendships, and I feel like a lot of the members have as well. I mean, in the channels in our Slack community, there's a lot of good back and forth and a lot of good camaraderie and joking and also a lot of information sharing and knowledge sharing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it is hard to pick a favorite. Ray would not be my favorite at all, but
I hope he's not editing this later.
don't edit that out. So Gina, so outside of TKW, today, we heard about what you've done in the past, the Archdiocese, Homeward Bound. So now it seems like you're dabbling in consulting. So tell us about some of your projects that you're working on.
Yeah, so my consulting company is Legacy Rise Consulting, aptly named because really what my goal is to help organizations really set the bar higher for the legacy that they'd like to leave for the future. And the ways that I do that is it's actually myriad at this point. I have a client who is focused solely on fundraising. So I go in and I help out with things like fundraising events, fundraising letters, just fundraising appeals in general, how to put those together. And then I have a client who is really interested in building up their board better. Because believe it or not, it takes skill to really build out a proper board that is going to be supportive of what your mission is. So I help them out with building their board and also with their retention for employment. Because again, you really want to have good employees to really sell that mission to other people. So that's an important thing that not many folks recognize as important to development. Another thing that I do, which you're aware of, is branding. So, marketing, making sure that messaging is consistent and in line with what your mission and values and vision are. So, that's another thing that I do. And then, probably I guess the thing that folks really enjoy coming to me for is the auditing. So, hey, Gina, can you check out X, Y, and Z to make sure that this is actually matching what I want it to match with, whether that be website, whether that be the actual appeal documents, whatever it is. I tend to get those and audit them to see where they can make progress, what they can tweak, that sort of thing. So I really have a very wide umbrella, but development all fits under that very neatly.
Nice. So where do you see yourself in 5 years, Gina? Do you see yourself staying on this path?
So the path of development and having many, many children,
Oh, you may.
many children, many animals, many side projects. Honestly, I do see this just because it's who I've always been. No sense changing that now. Um, I'm just really happy with my life as it is. Did he come back? I love that man over there. He's an aerospace engineer, and he is also very similar to Ray. When he starts talking work, it's just right over my head because I just okay, honey, you keep airplanes and drones and helicopters in the air and flying. That's awesome. I do not understand it, but that's awesome. And I love, the life that we've created together. The fact that he does that and supports me in my consulting ventures and supports me in my clear desire to be a mom, right? I love being a mom first and foremost. I've always wanted a really big family, and he's clearly on board to making sure that that happens.
Making sure that happens.
So, honestly, yes, I'm genuinely happy. I love my life, and I'm so grateful for the many opportunities that I've been given to get me to where I'm at. So, yeah, I hope the trend continues for the next 5 years, plus many, many more.
So when you think about the next 5 years and your goals as you're moving towards them, do you see yourself staying in the consulting realm, or do you see yourself joining another organization again in the future?
Um, it would have to be a really, really interesting organization because the thing I love about consulting is I'm able to help multiple organizations at the same time. And I feel like it's the best use of my time. So rather than just helping prop up one organization, which I love, and I've done it for, 12 years, the ability to prop up multiple and develop the next generation of developers, the next generation of nonprofit professionals, I think is such a better use of my time. And it really is so much more rewarding because it's no longer just, yeah, I hit X goal, but it's, yeah, I helped Trish, reach that next level in her professional career, or I've helped X organization hit their goals, and they've helped so many more people as a result of my input. So I genuinely love consulting more than I thought that I would. I really enjoy it. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's so rewarding. And I can't see myself, I guess, tied down to one at this point. So,
Yeah. So obviously you said there's a lot of challenges, but it also comes with great rewards.
oh,
So
yeah.
to you, what do you find to be your favorite part of being in this field?
Specifically, the consulting field,
Mhm.
the fact that there's something new every day, and I do mean every day. Like, just last week, it was crazy. I felt like I was juggling 8 different balls. We had a bit of a fire with one of our appeals, so I had to jump in and help out with that. And then there was a board meeting that I had to take part in, and then I had to actually go into someone else's office to help out with some professional development. So it was like all over the place, but it was so much fun. Like I was not bored at all because it was something different every single day. And
It's
sometimes
like
it's
that
like
in
different
IT.
hour to hour.
It can be, it's a lot like that in IT. Trust me. You're like, what am I getting into today? All right. So let's switch over to some fun questions.
Those weren't fun. I was enjoying myself, Trish. What are you saying?
All right. What is your favorite food and drink?
um, I'm probably not allowed to say popsicles because it's not really a food or drink, but honestly, I feel like it's both and I love popsicles.
Now, is that a pregnancy thing or is that an all the time
It's
thing?
an all the time thing. And it's like any kind of popsicle that is in front of me, I will eat. And I have passed that trait on to my son, Vincent. He's my oldest. He absolutely also is obsessed with popsicles. So I love popsicles.
That's awesome. All right. Favorite show to binge watch? Come on, we need something good to watch. What do you got?
So I'm that's a sticking point now in the marriage. I've been trying to binge Lincoln Lawyer. For it's so
Great
good.
show.
It's
Love it.
so good. But
Yes.
this one will only allow me to watch one at a time. I know, right? The audacity, the
I just have to
audacity.
say on the record, my husband will binge watch whatever I want to watch. regardless of how many episodes in we
God
are.
bless you, Rory. Teach all the men how it's done. To be fair, like we have binge watched other shows. So I had never seen any sort of Star Trek prior to marrying this one. And so we binge watched, what was it, Next Gen, and then, um, wait, no, what was it? DS9. Oh yeah, how did I forget DS9? Cisco. My God, I'm embarrassed. Like, so DS9 was great. So yeah, we have binge watched shows. So Trek was a big one for us, but right now I'm trying to binge Lincoln Lawyer.
Well, I am just so proud that you opened up your world to Star
To
Trek.
Trek.
I am a Star Trek Next Generation girl. Had always the biggest crush on Captain Picard, even
Mm.
at 11 years old. Yes,
Aw.
that's very
You know, he's
funny.
great. I was in love with Data. I just thought he was the best character. It's funny, I had commented something on Twitter at some point, and Brent Spiner actually responded.
No
And I
way.
immediately, yeah, I know. And I immediately texted Chris. I'm like, well, clearly we need a divorce because I'm about to go marry Dana.
That's great. I don't know if you guys have seen it, and I don't work for Paramount Plus. I think it's on Paramount Plus, but you got to watch the new Picard show.
Oh,
I
yeah?
think it's only 3 seasons, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really, really good.
Yeah, I was
So
told that at the end they did a really nice homage for all the old fans.
yeah,
So
it was a really good show. It was a really good
nice.
show. All right. So, what's your best memory or your favorite memory tied to your work?
Tied to my work. Oh, so, man, that's tough. I don't want to leave you guys with a sad one, but it was really good. So in the work that I do, obviously, I often work with the very, very vulnerable populations, whether those populations be stray cats and dogs or those struggling with addiction and homelessness on the streets of Camden. So I really run the gamut in the work that I do. But one of the, I guess, most amazing cases that I had, I'll share you Patrick's story. Patrick is this adorable dog that came to us at Homeward Bound. He was completely emaciated. Oh my gosh, you could see the bones sticking out of him basically everywhere. He could not walk on his own. And so Tim, he was one of our techs at the time. He actually scooped Patrick up and put him onto the table to be seen by our vet. And he was in really rough shape. We didn't think that he was going to make it past the 24 hours. But sure enough, his little spunky self, he made it for a full, what was it? It was a full 4 days. And then I begged my vet, please let me take him to the house to have him basically coalesce at home. He needed to be out of the shelter, out of the stress of the shelter. And so we took him in as a foster here at our house, and he just came alive. He was obsessed with Chris. I don't blame him. He loved Chris. But Chris would have to pick him up and carry him out to go for walks because Patrick didn't have the strength to walk further than a few steps. He had been kept in a cage for most of his life, so he was hunched over. His bones
Hmm.
weren't formed properly. His paws were burned from uric acid from standing and sitting in his own excrement, unfortunately. But over the weeks that we had him, Chris started taking him around for longer and longer walks. And I'll never forget the first time that Chris made the entire block. And like he went from legitimately carrying Patrick to then Patrick being able to walk the entire block. And then we knew it was time for him to go back to the shelter for adoption. And he was adopted, I think within 2 days. He got
Oh,
adopted.
that's an amazing story.
And he was an entirely different dog by the time we were done with him. Oh, there goes Nico. But yeah, so that's one of the awesome stories. And luckily, I have so many amazing stories like that because this work lends itself to that. It really does. I get to see real life miracles every day. And the best part about that is I get to take part in them. So yeah, that's my
That's great.
answer.
That's a great story. That's a great story. And it's actually a really good plug for everyone to donate to their local shelters and volunteer if you can. If you can't donate, volunteer your time or drop off some food,
Yes.
right? They're always in need of,
Food, towels, those are always big ones.
yeah. Um, all right. So just a couple more questions before we end our day. So when you're not working and you're not doing all of this, what are your hobbies and passions?
Kids.
Nothing else,
Kids.
just the
It's
kids.
like kids. I used to have more hobbies. Like I used to be an avid writer and blogger. I don't do that as much anymore. Just because I don't have the time. So I feel like my hobbies involve laundry, cleaning the table frequently, doing the dishes. But I have written a couple of children's books, so that's fun. I did that at the behest of my son Nathan. I've been telling Vincent, Nate, Nico, and Lucas stories for the last 15 years, right? And so Nate really pushed me. He's like, "Mom, like you should make real books out of it." And so I was like, "All right, I could put some together." And so I did. I put a few together, and Nate calls them his books. They're my books. And we've even done some book signings, which is really fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so
So
Nate likes to go out.
tell us the name of your books and where we can find them.
So you can find them on Amazon under Gina DiMarco, DIMARCO. And the first one is Boys Like Farts because they do.
They do. That they do.
They absolutely do. And then the second one is actually the first in a series that we're working on. It's called The Barrington Brothers. And it's all about the four boys. I'm going to have to start adding more in the future for when Mateo arrives. But yeah, the Barrington brothers. And then there's also the Don't Declaw Your Cat. That's a fundraiser. So any time that book gets purchased, a portion of the proceeds actually goes to animal welfare.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah.
All right, so this is going to be the last question because I have to know, right? So you have your brother Ray, obviously tech geek, um, and your husband Chris as well, right? So you're surrounded by these people in the tech space.
And
Have any of
you.
your boys and me, but have any of your boys caught the tech bug?
Vincent. And I say that because so one year, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, I noticed that he was getting really, really into Minecraft. And I wanted him to do something a little bit more than just playing Minecraft. So I put him into a JavaScript camp and he took off. Like he is incredible. He ended up winning that very first time I put him in. He ended up winning a national championship for JavaScript
That's
after having
amazing.
just been there for like a week. I'm still in awe of that.
Mr.
I'm honest
Natural.
to God, still in awe of that. And I was like, clearly you got that from Uncle Ray because it was not from mommy. And he's continued that. So I'm actually already looking into STEM programs this summer for him to really help him continue on with that. But he likes teaching other people about JavaScript, and now he's using his skills to build other games. So Vincent's incredible.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Gina, so much for spending your time with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Can't wait to meet the new baby in a few months.
Me too.
But thank you, everyone. So thanks for watching. Check out TKW, Tech Knowledge Worldwide, and be sure to check out techfest.org.
Yeah, thanks everybody.